Today on the channel, in honor of 33,000 subscribers to this very YouTube channel, it's the return of the Kyle Peterson Top 10. And today, we're counting down my top 10 favorite Sting figures of all time. However, it's Crow Edition.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 10. A Thursday tradition here every single Thursday on the channel. We're counting down my top 5, or in this case, top 10 favorites of something, and we're doing the top 10 Crow Sting figures of all time in honor of 33,000 subscribers here on the channel today. And of course, me as a kid, growing up in the 80s and 90s, I was a little Stinger, but I was a Surfer Sting guy. That's where I came into my love for Sting. Of course, you had Surfer Sting, you had the Ultimate Warrior, two different federations going on. Truly, what a time to be alive for a little boy that loved wrestlers and face paint. Yes, it's true. You had Demolition, you had the Road Warriors. It was the yin and yangs all over the place. But Crow Sting, and it always is hard for me to wrap my head around it. We've talked about it before. But I have to think the majority of people in this world, on the planet Earth, we're just talking Earth, we're not talking Mars, we're not talking Uranus, we're not talking any of that stuff. We're talking about Earth. And I think most people, when they think of Sting, they think of Crow Sting, which is hard for me to wrap my head around, because if you say Sting to me, I'm thinking that Surfer Sting. That's what comes to my head first. It's just a weird play there. But of course, we did do a top 5 Surfer Sting on the channel well over a year ago. Check out that video if you want to see that one. But the time has come today for a top 10 Crow Sting. And like a lot of people, I was engulfed in the Monday Night Wars. I was very invested in Crow Sting. It was one of those things where I was like, wow, this is a cool change. This is something different. This is dark. This is brooding. I'm definitely here for this. But I was always hoping, okay, maybe after a couple of years, he's going to go back. Kind of like Hulk Hogan. He went back to the red and yellow. Sting really never went back, unfortunately. And it always kind of just felt like he needed to go back, but I don't know if his hair would play that Surfer Sting game anymore. And it was one of those things where you kind of moved on from it. And at the end of the day, let's be honest, I don't care what we're talking about. It is a business at the end of the day. Crow Sting probably made a heck of a lot more money than Surfer Sting ever did. And Surfer Sting probably made some money back in the day. But Crow Sting will be his legacy. That is how he's going to finish his career. And speaking of his career, Sting going strong with new figures from Jazzwares AEW and going strong in the ring still all these years later. The end has to be coming soon. Nobody knows when it'll happen. But man, Sting taking it to another level at the advanced age. So man, shout out to the old Stinger out there. I might not be the biggest Crow fan in the world, but man, I still would rather watch any Sting match over a lot of other people's matches. I just do love Sting, and all that childhood love holds off all the way into today. So a lot of cool Sting stuff and a lot of cool figures in the Crow department as well, and a lot of cool ones we're going to talk about here today. And of course, as I always say, this is my list. Make sure you get your list together. Make sure you put your list in the comments down below. And your list, just like my list, can't be wrong. So just put whatever you want and make sure you put them in order. That is the challenge. That is the fun part. But without further ado, in honor of 33,000 subscribers, let's kick it off at number 10. We begin the Crow Sting top 10 with one a little bit out of left field. I could be the only one with this one in the top 10 here. But who is it? Well, it's Sting, of course. But we're going to Mattel. We're going to Basics. We're going to the Battle Pack 2-pack WrestleMania 34 edition of Sting with Triple H. And of course, this Sting, basically ring gear Sting. Of course, they did have their match at WrestleMania. We all know Triple H for Sting. WCW versus WWE in a lot of ways. But what I like about this Sting, and what I like that's different about this one, is it's this battle damage Sting, we'll call it. The face paint is wore off. It is melting off. This is Sting at the end of the match. This is Sting ready for that finish, looking for the end of things. definitely a different interpretation of Sting. And we don't get a lot of these things. Of course, we've had some Ultimate Warriors with his face paint coming off, but this, I believe, is the only one of Sting we ever received. And we've had a lot of Sting figures over a lot of toy companies over the years, but definitely something a little bit different. Nowhere near the greatest. That's why it's at number 10, but I love how different this one was, and that's why it comes in at number 10 in the top 10 list. Next up, we're feeling fine at number 9. And number 9 comes to us from the TNA Legends of the Ring line, a personal Grail piece that I've been on the hunt for the last couple of years that I finally got just recently. It is the Sting Hulk Hogan 2-pack, of course, an all-timer of a set with the bloody Hulk Hogan figure here. And I did have a loose set of this, I just never had a mint-on-card set. But here it is, old Sting with the beautiful soft goods jacket. Now, a little bit of the evolution of the Sting character, as we know, as he later, he turned into a Wolfpac Sting, Tomato Face Sting, whatever you want to call him. Of course, Crow Sting, Surfer Sting, Joker Sting, and then a little bit more colorful Sting in his time in TNA, and that's kind of where this represents in a lot of ways. But it is definitely classic Sting with some red coloring in him, and then a beautiful jacket on this one. That's what really brings this one home a lot, is the purple jacket going on, the Sting on the back there, and just the set being so iconic, and one of those ones I've wanted for so long, mint on card. Just definitely a personal Grail where I've searched for this for a good price every day for like the last 3 years. So it's finally here, definitely a special piece, and that's why it's number 9 in my top 10 list. We've hit the number 8 spot in the Sting Top 10 Countdown. And number 8, once again, we go back to Sting's time in TNA for the ringside exclusive. I believe it was a ringside exclusive Sting figure, a little special packaging one. Once again, Sting in a fabulous, fabulous robe right here, celebrating 10 years of TNA. A little bit of Joker Sting in this one, of course, with the makeup, face paint, whatever you want to call it, looking good. But definitely something different. One I do not have loose in my collection, so I just have this on card here. And it is actually autographed by the Stinger himself, so how about that one right there? This might have been a Shop TNA exclusive. Maybe it was a shared exclusive. I think you could get it on Shop TNA as well. On the back, a blurb that you can set your watch to. That's War and Peace. I'm here for that. And he got Sting in his Joker Sting persona. Definitely a different turn for Sting from the Surfer days and even the Crow Brooding days. But definitely an interesting incarnation of Sting. And definitely a cool piece. That's why it's number 8 in the top 10 list. We've come to the number 7 spot in the top 10 countdown. And number 7 this time we go back to Mattel. We go to the ringside collectible exclusive Wolfpac Sting. Yes, don't turn your back on the Wolfpac. And Sting at the time in the Wolfpac, a little bit of a head scratcher for me. Of course, Sting went from this crazy brooding guy, then over into the Wolfpac with all the hip guys throwing it up, doing all that kind of stuff. It felt a little forced, it felt a little different, but this is the only incarnation we received from Mattel of this time frame for Sting, and it is disappointing we didn't get more Stingers from Mattel, but they did the best they could. Would love to have an Ultimate Edition Sting in so many different incarnations. I guess we got to be hopeful that Supreme line from Jazzwares, we get some of those iconic Stings in that line. I guess we'll wait and see what happens. Maybe more in 2024. We'll see what happens here, but this was a ringside collectible exclusive. Definitely feels like a different incarnation of Sting once again, being a part of the Wolfpac. The red and black attack looking definitely interesting, but definitely a very cool figure that I wasn't a huge fan of when it first came out, but it's one of those ones that was, it was a grower, not a shower, we'll say, in that aspect for this Sting figure. So very cool. It's just sad we can't get a lot of these Stings with the pinless joints and the updated articulation, things like that. It would be really cool to have, and I would love to see them run this one back because I think there's a lot of improvements they can do on this figure, but it is still very cool, and that's why it comes in at number 7 in my top 10 list. The countdown rolls on at the number 6 spot, and once again we go to Mattel. We go back to the Basics line. We go to Basics Series 55 for old Crow Sting, I guess Wrestling Crow Sting here. Got the same head, I believe, as the Defining Moments on this one. Of course, got his ring outfit on. And there was a Sting very similar to this. I want to say it was like 68 or 68B or something like that, a weird set in the Basics line that was similar to this, but I believe he had black gloves. I just kind of went between the two, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go with the clean hands on this one. I'm going to go glove-free Sting for my number 6 figure, but as far as Basics go, it's a great in-ring Sting. We talked about the one at number 10 with the battle damage, kind of the paint falling off of Sting's face. This is Sting at the beginning of the match, looking good here. Definitely got the Sting jumpsuit, whatever you want to call it, his ring gear here at the time. Looking good. It's just a Sting that you can see playing with, a good Sting for a collection. And it's a basic, which makes it even cheaper, which isn't a bad day either. So number 6, Crow Sting, Series 55, Mattel Basic. We've hit the halfway point in the countdown. Make sure you get your list together. Make sure you put it in the comments down below. And then, as I always say, make sure you subscribe to this very YouTube channel if you like these countdowns, as we do them every single Thursday, with a lot more to come, as you can imagine. But we go to number 5, and number 5 quite possibly could be from the most underrated and maybe most forgotten toy line of all time. Once again, we go to TNA. We do go to Jakks, but we go to the Jakks Ruthless Aggression style Walgreens exclusive line, the TNA Impact line for Sting. Now, Sting, of course, I got a loose one here, and I actually put a Undertaker jacket on this one to dress this up one just a little bit here. Now, I get it. Not everybody loves the Ruthless Aggression style figures. I understand. I know. But TNA line is known more for their Deluxe Impact, which is actually the Deluxe Aggression style, the little bit more articulation, things like that. Well, they did have one series. It was only one series, and it went to Walgreens as a Walgreens exclusive. And for those of us that wanted a Jakks Ruthless Aggression style Sting in his Crow persona, this was the only time we ever get this. So this one is one you could put with your Ruthless Aggression WWE figures. Very cool for the historical significance, the crossover significance with that one right here. And it's definitely a Crow Sting. It's a Crow Sting, like I always say, you can set your watch to. It is a good one, but very forgotten and a very hard to find line all these years later. You don't see these pop up a whole lot anymore. And definitely something cool. And of course, you know me, I love my Jakks Ruthless Aggression style figures. So I really do like this Sting and what it represents. Now, we did get a Surfer Sting in the Ruthless Aggression style, in the TNA Legends of the Ring style, if you guys remember that one as well. But definitely something off the beaten path, definitely something cool, definitely the Crow Sting. That's why he's number 5 in the top 10 list. Next up in the countdown, number 4. And number 4 is the most recent Sting figure we have received as I'm filming this video. What is it? It is the San Diego Comic-Con 2023 exclusive AEW Jazzwares Sting. Awesome packaging with this one. Of course, comes with a coffin, extra hands, comes with a soft goods outfit as well. I did pick up 2 of these, and maybe I'm a little bit biased. I did go to San Diego Comic-Con. I did have to wait in line for this guy, so I put in the work to get this guy right here. So I'm definitely pleased with this one. Is it the greatest Sting figure of all time in his Crow persona? No, it's number 4. However, I do like this one. I like the special packaging. I like the extras it came with. I love San Diego Comic-Con because I was personally there, so has a little bit more meaning maybe to me than others. But it is a lot of ways very similar Stings that we've had in the past. It's a lot of reuse here with some new bells and whistles, and that is a perfect exclusive, as we always say here on the channel. People would lose their mind if the first ever Surfer Sting figure was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. This makes a lot of sense. They get the most out of their molds, throw in a soft good shirt, throw in a coffin, bam, you got a new figure. That did work for me. So a very fun one here. Coming in at number 4, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, Crow Sting. Next up, we got number 3, and number 3 was one of those figures that we were very, very excited for in the last few years. We were all waiting to see what AEW Jazzwares would do with Sting. So that's where we're going at number 3. We're going to the AEW Unmatched Series 2 Luminaries Edition version of Sting. Of course, I got one there, and I got one here out of the package as well. Definitely an awesome Sting. You can say what you want about Jazzwares and their products. Some people love them, some people hate them, some people are in the middle. But Sting definitely coming in hot in Series 2. One that had a lot of people excited. As we do know, he also had the Chase Edition in this set to put some extra complexity on this one. But definitely a cool version of Sting here. There's no doubt about it. I'm happy I have this Sting in my collection. And as far as modern take on Sting of his representation in AEW, I really do like the looks of this one. And this one going way high up in the list here at number 3 out of all the Crow figure Stings. I think that is pretty cool. But this was the official debut Sting in the Jazzwares line. And that's one of the reasons it's coming in at number 3. Getting closer and closer to the number 1 spot, we're at number 2, and the number 2 Crow Sting of all time for me, man oh man, I don't know if you guys will have this on your list, and I don't think you'll have it as high as I do, but but this could be the sleeper of the top 10, as this figure blew me away, and I think a lot of people passed on this one, and you passed on a heck of a good figure. It is, once again, AEW Jazzwares, and to me, this is the best AEW Jazzwares version of Sting so far. It is the Ringside Collectible Real Scale Ring exclusive. So we do know Ringside had a Real Scale ring, and it came with a Sting exclusive figure. A lot of reuse on this Sting, I will give you that. However, the head sculpt on this one is what brings this one home. So much personality in this Sting head sculpt. Instead of just the stoic one we get time and time again, they gave us something different here. We got the howling, we got the screaming Sting. Definitely an all-timer, definitely a cool representation. And as I'm filming this, my favorite AEW Jazzwares Sting of all time. I really wish this one would have went in a regular line instead of with that ring, but it is what it is, and I think a lot of people forgot about it or missed out on it because it was attached to the heavy price point of that ring. But definitely an amazing Sting Crow figure. That's why he comes in at number 2 in my top 10 list. And we got one left. Who is it? Stay tuned. All right, it's time to finish up the top 10 Crow Sting figures of all time. Once again, make sure you get your list together. Make sure you put it in the comments down below. Make sure you put it in order. And don't forget to subscribe to this very YouTube channel, as we got top 10 and top 5 videos every single Thursday on this very YouTube channel. But now we turn our attention to the number 1 Sting figure of all time in his Crow persona. And this one started off at number 1 for me. You guys know I always kind of mull it over and move some things around. I lay them out. Well, this one stayed at number 1 from the get-go. Have to imagine a lot of you guys and gals out there have this at number 1 as well. What is it? Once again, we go to Mattel. We go to the Defining Moments line. We go to the defining moments of Sting and all of his WCW original Crow glory for the most part. His heyday of the Crow Sting in WCW. Just an all-timer of a figure. And one, like I said earlier, I would love to see an Ultimate Edition of this one. I'd love to see different Ultimate Editions, different Elite versions of Sting. Obviously, we're getting him through Jazzwares right now, and they're not terrible figures in my estimation and what I believe. So I'm very excited for hopefully a future Crow and Surfer Sting in the Supreme line. But we could have had a lot more from Mattel, but it is what it is. Contracts, businesses, all that kind of stuff move on. But definitely an all-star in the Defining Moments line, and probably a possible top 5 in the Defining Moments line for some people. I guess you guys let me know in the Defining Moments line. But this one, very, very cool, very awesome representation of Sting. Definitely is a defining moment in Sting's career, there's no doubt about it. And we did get a Surfer Sting in the Defining Moments line as well, if we remember back to that. So definitely a fun one here. Definitely a must-have for many a collector. Definitely a cool figure, and definitely number 1 in my top 10 Crow Sting list. So there it is, the Crow Sting top 10. Once again, let me know your list. Put it in the comments down below. And don't forget to follow along on this channel. Subscribe, like, hit the old notification bell, all that kind of fun stuff. Don't forget about the Patreon for early access to videos like this, bonus content, exclusive content, you name it, and your best way to support this very YouTube channel. You can also support the channel over there, ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on the X, the _Kyle_Peterson on Threads and on Instagram. So for the top 10 Crow Sting figures of all time, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.